again, I had just a couple of quick things here.
Yeah, please.
That I saw too.
I saw that you had a little article about the Clemson quarterback.
Just the idea about these
we
guys.
could bounce off that. Sounds
And
good.
then also I saw a little something about Kobe, what he used to do to his opponents, which I thought was very
cool.
very, very smart. So
We can tie that into the leadership thing.
yes, exactly.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll do our little 2-minute thing.
Hey, I was checking the Pacific Trade. They have a really nice place in Maui they're still offering.
Oh, really?
Check that out. Yeah, it's like a real high-end luxury place in Kaanapali. Really nice. You should check it out.
Okay.
Do you get any trade dollars from them?
I do have some. I got a.
Where do you like to stay when you guys go to Maui?
Well, you know, it's funny. Eva doesn't really care for Maui that much.
Really? Why doesn't she? Is it too crowded?
There was something because of the winds or something. She kind of gets a head cold or something.
She likes Kauai better, huh?
Yeah.
Kauai's a little more low key.
A little more low key.
Yeah,
But
nice.
one of the things we like Oahu. But
Oahu's
not
nice
Waikiki.
too. Yeah, well, you stay in Honolulu, you're in a big city.
Yeah. No, we go to Kapolei.
Oh, okay.
You know,
Nice.
the west side. So, but yeah, where were we in Maui? I guess
Gotta take my girls there next March. Gotta plan a trip. I'm gonna do it silently, quietly, so they don't know about it. Surprise it. Yeah.
March is a good time.
Yeah.
December time's good. It's only September it gets a little too hot.
Yeah. March is good because it's not too crowded. You get in the middle of between like November and beginning of March, and it gets really crowded.
Yeah.
That's when you want to avoid it.
Yeah.
I always go in the spring.
Smart.
Yeah.
Yeah, and our wedding is October, so that's always a good time too.
Good time to go.
Good.
All right.
All right, are we ready?
Are we ready? We're always ready. Are we
We're
ready?
professionals. We're always ready.
We're ready. Yeah, no problem here with the
Well, let me just see what's going
on here. Got to pick up the bolster at 2 today. That rascally girl. Rascally little girl. Bolster.
There we go.
She's such a little character.
They grow up.
Grows so fast. Yeah, last night, one of her friends, one of the little boys, was telling all the other little boys that he had kissed one of her friends and that they had gone under the covers together. And so Molly overheard this, the boys. So she went to the girl to tell her, and the little girl was just mortified. She started crying and got really upset. And her mom got upset and called the boy's mom, and and the Molly goes, "Oh, you shouldn't have told her." And I said, "No, Molly, you know you did the right thing. You did the right thing because those boys needed to be, they're just typical little boys bragging. But you don't say that. I went under the covers with the little.
I know. It's one thing to just kind of go give her a kiss on the cheek or something, but go under the covers. Yeah. Especially all the stuff they have on TV.
Yeah.
Just kind of leads.
The kids are just, they got imaginations too.
Oh yeah.
You know how
they
it
think
is.
that means going all the way.
Yeah.
Which they have no idea what that means.
They have no idea. They don't know the consequences, emotional or physical.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing with the girls with the emotional part too. Which
I'm glad I was a late developer. My first girlfriend had to drag me to bed when I was 22.
Yeah. Me too. I was late.
I could have gone probably earlier, but I was too scared.
Yeah. No, but
too scared.
It was probably good.
Yeah. You got plenty of time to do that.
My wife's still teaching. No. All right, here we go. Well, welcome. You're listening to Sports Econ 101, the show where we discuss sports topics from a business perspective. I'm your host, Edward Brown, along with my co-host, Bruce McGowan, longtime sports radio personality. Now, today, we don't have any guests. Last time, we almost had a guest, and then he died 2 days before he was coming on.
I mean, I hate to laugh, but it does sound kind of strange, doesn't it? It's like the dog ate my homework, You come to school. I mean, that literally happened to a friend of mine once. We're walking to school. He dropped his binder. The homework fell out of it, and dog came up and grabbed it with his mouth and ran off.
Well, at least he had a witness.
He did have a witness. He had me, and I had to vouch for him, and it worked. That was a good one.
Did you have to get your signature notarized?
No. The teacher said, okay. He didn't believe me, but he appreciated the fact that I was standing up for my buddy.
Well, okay, but you knew it was true.
Yeah, and I think if it had been a woman teacher, she wouldn't have gone along with it. But a guy teacher knows the importance of being a good friend, right?
Yeah, but
and,
again, it was true.
I mean, that sounds sexist to say that, but I just think women see through these kind of things a little easier than men. Men are a little more bamboozled, and this guy was like, okay, we'll let this one slide.
Well, and how old were you?
11.
Yeah, see, yeah, you're right. Yeah, because of women, they kind of they can see that stuff.
Yeah, well, you know, my fourth grade teacher was really tough. She was old school.
Was mine.
Old school. She was born in 1895.
Wow.
And it was her last year teaching. She had started teaching in 1920, the year my dad was born. And we were her last class, and she never missed a day of school. We used to pray that she would miss her day because she was such a meanie.
Well, we gave ours, not our fourth grade, but in freshman in high school, we gave ours a heart attack. So,
Really? Seriously?
Yeah, we did.
Oh my God!
And I didn't think we were that bad, but of course that's what I thought.
You must have been quite a rascal.
Not me personally. I was a decent kid, but
you were the nice guy.
I was a nice guy, but
Okay.
I definitely.
Yeah, I get the feeling you were one of those guys who was everybody's friend, right? Everybody liked. I was kind of like that.
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you know how it is. Okay,
Yeah.
hold on. We're every commercial break, we're gonna ask a sports trivia question. This time it's just miscellaneous.
I like miscellaneous sports.
Yeah, I gotta keep you under suspenders there. This segment of Sports Econ 101 is sponsored by Pacific Private Money, providing mortgage investments that are currently yielding around 8% secured by Bay Area real estate. It doesn't get any more conservative than that. Check them out at Pacific Private Money. Don't touch that dial. You're listening to Sports Econ 101, and we'll be right back.
So, do you see that the real estate market might be affected by Trump's new administration here in California? There was a big article about it today. I didn't read the article.
I haven't read it yet because I had an early
Sounds
appointment
interesting.
in
Sounds interesting.
Petaluma.
The Trump effect is definitely having an effect over in Europe because the conservative candidates, like in France and Germany, are emboldened now, and there's a sort of a nationalistic fervor to elect their kind of nationalistic
Gotcha.
candidate, and it's really interesting with the reverberations. It's almost like the seismic event.
Yeah.
It really is.
Well, we need like cooler heads to prevail.
I think Trump is going to be actually a lot less strident and a lot less crazy. I think he's going to have a lot of help.
Yeah.
And it sounds like he wants Obama for a lot of advice, and I think he'll need it because past presidents, kind of went in there. They had their own agendas and they had their own experience. He doesn't have any experience, so he's going to need all the help he can get.
Exactly.
And I think he'll make a lot of phone calls to Obama, and I think Obama will be fine with it because Obama will think, oh, the guy wants some help. He can help burnish my legacy,
Yeah.
Because he doesn't want his legacy to go down the toilet. But I don't think it. To be honest with you, I don't think a president can change the predecessor's legacy that dramatically anyway.
No,
not really. Not really.
That is president.
No, not really. I mean, they can change some things, but they really
and
can't.
that's what I'm hoping for is that Trump will. And again, it's just hopeful.
I'm hoping he'll moderate, but I'm not counting on it. But I think he will. I think he has to.
I mean, I think he wants. I'm hoping that he's going to take an attitude of, okay, I got all this money. I don't need money. I've got all this, power per se, and I got all the fame. Everybody knows who I am. The only thing I don't have is my own legacy. I don't want to go down in history.
He wants to be a winner.
Yeah, exactly. Wants to be a winner.
Yeah. So I don't think he's going to alienate a lot of people. I really don't. Although this bringing in Bonner as his chief of staff, that's not a wise idea.
It doesn't sound like that's a smart first
But
move.
at the same time, all Bonner is a gatekeeper. He's not going to be making policy. He's like a Haldeman.
Okay, yeah, but
So,
still,
But he is
he's
kind of the face of the franchise, so to speak. That and his what is it, PR? What do they call him? The press secretary.
Press secretary, yeah.
Yeah, I think he's going to have that Indian woman, the one who was always botching up the interviews on TV and misstating facts, is one of his campaign people.
There you go.
Not real.
So he gets a twofer. He gets a woman, and he gets somebody who's non-white.
Yeah. There you go.
And if she walked with a limp and was deaf, then he'd have the whole thing covered.
He'd have it covered.
Yep. All right. Here we go. Well, welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Again, I'm Edward Brown, your host. Sometimes my name's kind of hard to say quickly. Edward Brown.
Edward Brown, your host.
Edward Brown, your host.
Yeah.
Along with Bruce McGowan. Now, today we don't have any guests.
No, we
but
don't.
We are going to talk some football, a little basketball.
Yeah, two sports in full flower right now, and certainly a lot of interest in both of them. I think everybody is interested this year. The NFL has been really, really fascinating this year. There have been some great stories, and we were talking last week about the ascendancy of the Oakland Raiders. How about the Dallas Cowboys?
Yeah, were they 7-1?
7-1 last we saw. And Dak Prescott, that kid, along with Ezekiel Elliott, that may be the best rookie tandem quarterback running back we've had in years in the NFL. I can't remember seeing anything more impressive.
Well, I appreciate. I think Romo has already said, he deserves the job.
Yeah, it was interesting too. He had a press conference to announce that, and then he didn't take any questions. He walked away. The prevailing feeling was, I saw the television broadcast of it on ESPN, and he did not look happy. But he looked like, hey, look, I've got a seed to this guy. He's done the job, and I've been hurt a lot.
Wait, you call a press conference for that?
Well, it was. I think it was during the middle of the week. I think it was Wednesday when it happened. They usually bring in the coach and the quarterback, and sometimes they bring in a star player. Maybe he just wanted to talk to the press to kind of put this issue to rest. The last thing the Cowboys need right now is to have some kind of quarterback controversy. Yeah. They're not going to have one, but I mean, they don't need to have Tony Romo, breaking ranks and saying, "I should be starting."
Exactly.
But how about in Los Angeles now? Jared Goff, our old Marin County boy here, went to Marin Catholic High. Cal graduate is going to start for the Rams. That's a great story. I don't know if he's ready for it yet. He looks kind of skinny and still unpolished, but I think he can do just as good a job as the guy who was out there. I can't remember the name of the quarterback who's been quarterbacking the Rams. He's obviously not been doing that good a job. Otherwise, I'd remember his name.
Yeah. Well, and also, their record is not going to be good enough to do anything, so you might as well try a whole bunch of stuff.
Their offense has been really shaky. Their defense has actually been pretty good. The Rams, it's neat to see that LA has embraced the Rams and taken them back in. I think there's just a lot of fans who are starved for NFL football down there that really wanted to
go to San Diego is a little too far.
And the Chargers, as far as the Chargers moving to LA, there's a lot of talk about that now because I guess their stadium issue was voted down, that they're going to just be stuck with Qualcomm or move to LA. I don't know. That's an interesting scenario.
But then would they have two LA?
They'd have two LA teams sharing the same stadium. Basically, the Rams would be the primary tenant, the Chargers the secondary tenant.
How does that work? I mean, it's one thing when you have, like the Oakland A's and Oakland
Raiders. It worked for the Jets and the Giants for years. As a matter of fact, don't the Jets and Giants still share the Meadowlands? Or it's not the Meadowlands anymore. Maybe they don't. I know that they did. They did for years.
Doesn't the Giants play in New Jersey?
The Giants play in New Jersey, and the Jets moved over there back in I think it was the mid to late '80s. Because when I went back there with the Raiders a couple times in the '90s, they were playing in the Meadowlands. So I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, there've been so many stadium changes in the NFL. I can't keep track of all these changes. Of course, out here on the West Coast, the only stadium we had that was built recently was Levi's Stadium, and that's nobody even goes there anymore.
That's funny, and it's only 2 years old.
Yeah, it's in its third year. Nobody goes there.
Well, probably because the Niners are not doing very well.
They stink. They have a terrible front office. They have a terrible general manager. I'm not knocking Chip Kelly because he doesn't have a whole lot to work with. Yeah. But I mean, what's their hope? They may not win another game this year.
So their stadium holds what?
70, almost 70.
And
they've been getting about 50. And of those 50, about half of them are in the stands. Most of them are in the clubs, having a micro beer and watching on the big screen. Now, why would you do that? If you buy a $150 ticket, why not sit in the stands?
Maybe just so you can hear it.
Maybe so you could be seen with all the the beautiful people. I don't know. I don't know. 49er fans are a different breed. They used to have some really good hardcore fans at Candlestick Park. I used to love
because it was Candlestick.
Yeah, I used to love to walk through that parking lot before the game on my way to cover the game and see all the tailgate parties. I remember there was one group of older fans. They had a red tablecloth and gold goblets, and they always had the choice spot, and they'd always offer me a glass of wine before I went in, because they recognized me.
Knew you, yeah.
They knew me because I'd been going by their table for years. And one time I actually took them up on the offer and sat down and talked 49er football. And I was amazed. These people were like 49er historians. They were telling me stories about Hugh McElhaney and Y.A. Tittle and Leo the Lion Nomalini. It was great stuff, boyhood heroes for me.
And then how did you do on your broadcast after a glass of wine?
I was okay because by the time I had to do any updates, it was like 2 o'clock, and I'd had the glass at about 10:30. So that's
fun. That come right through you there.
Went right through me.
That's fun. How often would you get recognized, just in general, going?
Oh, just from people knowing me because of the fact that I was always walking by their little tailgate party. It happened a lot because they'd see me with a little press guide thing, and they say, "Oh, there's the press guy." They didn't know who I was. And then in later years, when I started working at KNBR, I told them, I said, I work locally now, so you might hear me on the radio. And then after that, everybody's like, "Oh, there's our guy!" Yeah. It was kind of funny.
Before, when you had the press,
right?
You said, "Now you'll hear me locally."
Right. I worked for 6 years between 1981 and 1988, 7 years actually, almost 7 years, as a freelancer after I left a job in New York, before I got hired at KNBR. So I worked for radio networks, mostly in New York and Washington, D.C., and a couple of stations back east, and that's all I did was freelance work. And in those days, there were a lot of radio networks that required updates from the parks. post-game sound, feature interviews, and there was a lot of work to be had, and I just scooped it all up. Within a couple of years, I had it all, with the exception of maybe 1 or 2 radio stations, and I made a decent living doing it.
And the difference now?
Difference now is most of these networks don't take these updates anymore. I work for one radio network that does, but there's only a handful of them that do. Most of them have either gone out of business or just decided not to do it anymore for whatever reason.
How much has ESPN?
ESPN's had a huge impact on that. I did a lot of work for ESPN when they first started the radio network in '95, and they immediately put the screws to the thumbs of a lot of these other networks by saying to the stations that were carrying those networks that wanted ESPN, if you want to carry our programming, you got to get rid of all the rest of the other networks that you might be affiliated with. And a lot of stations were willing to do it because ESPN offered round-the-clock programming, which was a great option, especially on the weekends. So it's really a shame. A lot of these networks really got hammered. Some of them went out of business, and I don't think that kind of thing is good for America. I think competition is what makes America special.
Yeah.
And I don't want to get off on a political bent on this, but I think that's been one of the problems in broadcasting is there's been way too much consolidation, and I don't think the listener out there really gets that or is impressed with that or even knows about that, because they're today with all the social media, we're so distracted. It's so easy to fall into the rabbit hole and go online.
Also, you have like Sirius XM.
Yeah.
So you have a whole bunch of other stations other than ESPN.
iHeartRadio. I mean, there's all these different platforms now, and I mean, it's the numbers of people. I was working at KGO Radio for 6 years recently, and their numbers were down appreciably. They were the #1 station in the market from 1984, I think, through 1998 or 2000, and their numbers now are like 1/5 of what they used to be. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that people, have changed their listening habits.
Didn't they used to carry the 49ers?
They did. They carried the 49ers
for
for many years. Yeah, and then they got rid of them, and KNBR picked them up. KNBR's got them now. KNBR lost the Warriors, which was a huge loss.
I was just going to say that's huge.
Yeah.
95.7 the game,
which is in our they're now for those that are not in the Bay Area. Most of you probably aren't. You're wondering, this all sounds like alphabet soup to you. 95.7 the game is a little FM station that has a very weak signal, but they're doing everything they can to fight the big boy, KNBR, which is the 50,000 watt clear channel station, voice of the Giants, voice of the 49ers. And it's not easy. They've got the A's, they got the Warriors, they got the Raiders. They're making inroads. But
I mean, who's putting the money up for that?
Who's putting money up? Well, they get their commercial sponsors. I mean, when you get a big name team like the Raiders or the Warriors on your broadcast, on your station, you have hopefully aggressive sales guys who go out and tell prospective clients, hey, look what I got. We got something that nobody else has. And so that's how you bring in a lot of revenue.
But the 95.7 the game has to put out that money.
They have to buy the rights, and so they have to make
very expensive.
Well, it is, and then they have all the ancillary programs, the coaches show, the players shows, and so that helps to kind of offset that, and it gives them. It's more of an image thing than anything else. The only sport that really brings in, Edward, a lot of money for radio stations anymore is baseball. Because not that many people listen to football and basketball on the radio, but they listen to baseball.
Yeah, it's a little easier to do.
It is.
All right, here's our first commercial break trivia question.
Well, that was a fast first segment.
Wasn't it?
Yeah, just flew by. Kind of like my life, I woke up this morning and I looked at myself in the mirror and I go, who is that old guy?
Oh, no, you're still
Yeah, right.
Okay, like I say, I look good for a man at 82. All right, what college football position receives the Jim Thorpe Award?
There you go.
All right, you know that one?
I do.
Wow, that's pretty good. Okay, stay with us. Sports Econ 101 will be right back with that answer.
I think I know the word. The Heisman goes to just the best player, right?
Yeah.
I think it goes to the running back. Am I right?
You can answer when we get
Okay, I think it's the running back, because I know Jim Thorpe was a running back. Jim Thorpe was an amazing athlete.
Yeah.
God, he was something else. Did you ever see the guy interviewed, though? He was as dumb as a rock.
Was he really?
Oh, it's so sad. I mean, he really was.
He was a little before my time, but I know a lot about
him. But he
him.
had a really good manager who was smart and invested his money, and he died very, very wealthy.
Oh, good.
So he had a big family and lots of relatives. So he didn't squander his money. He had a terrible drinking problem, though.
Oh.
Yeah, ended his life early.
I mean, I just remember the whole, he couldn't get an Olympic medal because he got paid as a professional.
Yeah, that broke his heart.
Yeah.
Yeah, that really broke his heart. The Queen of Sweden gave me that medal. Thing was, they asked the King of Sweden gave him the medal, and then the Olympic Committee asked for it back, and he wouldn't give it back. He says, "I'm not giving it back."
Good.
And they made a big stink about it, and he said, "No, I'm not giving it back." And he never did.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Just give a new one.
Well, they took him his name out of the books, but he didn't care. He says, "I got the medal, and people know I won."
You know what?
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
Good. He was a Sioux Indian, wasn't he?
He was. Yeah.
And he was a Native American.
Native American. That's right.
All right, here we go. Because nobody's really Native American, right? We all emigrated from somewhere.
Somewhere, yeah.
Africa.
Africa, Asia,
Okay.
wherever.
Does that make me African American?
That makes you European American.
Yeah, but originally my roots probably came from Africa.
Well, that's way back.
I mean, how far back
European
is
American.
that?
What's your English?
No, like Russian and Hungarian.
Really? Brown is an English name.
Well, but it was Brownstein or something.
Oh, okay.
Probably came over,
I was English. I'm English and Scottish and German. Typical American,
Wasp.
European wasp.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right.
That's why I can't get a job. If I was a minority, I'd be
There
there.
you go. And again, and if you were deaf and had a limp,
Yeah, there you
and you were
go.
a woman,
Yeah,
and black,
and black, and in a wheelchair.
and in a wheelchair. Yeah,
There
that's
you
right.
go.
Limp
Yeah.
and a wheelchair.
Yeah, limping in a
If
wheelchair.
you get
There you
both of those,
There you go.
that's the combo.
There you go.
Here we go. Well, welcome back to Sports Econ 101. It's too bad we don't keep the radio airtime going while we're doing commercial breaks because we have a good time telling
Well,
jokes and stuff.
On the TV, if anybody's smart enough, they're watching the or what do they call it? The
YouTube podcast, yeah.
YouTube podcast, guys. They can hear all of our nonsense.
Nonsense, exactly.
Yeah.
But I am Edward Brown, your host, and I've got my famous co-host Bruce McGowan here. Here was our first trivia question. What college football position receives the Jim Thorpe Award?
I'm going to say running back. No.
It-
Linebacker?
No.
Defensive linebacker?
Yeah, defensive back.
Defensive back.
I don't know what, because he never
I
was
always-
a defensive back.
I thought he was a running back.
He was.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
he played for the Decatur
Staley's. That was George Hallis's team. That team, and George Hallis, of course, was a player on that team, and later he took that team to Chicago, and they became the Chicago Bears. And
What
he
is
was-
a Staley?
Well, that was the name of the company that sponsored them. In those days, football was very, very modest, and there was the Green Bay Packers, for instance, were owned by a packing company, a meat packing company. So they were called the Green Bay Packers.
That's one of the few. It's so funny. There's so many Redskins, Indians, stuff that's not politically correct.
Right.
Being a Packer, okay, is probably okay. Being
Yeah.
a Steeler is okay.
Steeler's okay, yeah.
Being a bear or a cub.
Or a Raven. I love the Ravens. Now that's where that
Ravens, yeah.
came from, right? From Edgar
Edgar
Allan
Allan
Poe,
Poe.
who was a Baltimore native,
Ah,
and he
okay.
quotes the Raven nevermore.
Oh, yeah.
The Raven is a very dark piece of literature.
Literature.
Yeah.
Well, and then you had the Houston Oilers.
Houston
because of
Oilers.
of
I always thought that was
Houston.
why didn't they call the new team the Oilers the Texans?
Well, they did. Okay, so when they moved to Tennessee,
Right.
they kept Tennessee Oilers
for a while.
for a while,
And then
they
they-
kind of realized, wait a minute, oil and Tennessee isn't really
Yeah.
together, so they the Titans.
The
that's fine.
Titans.
which is good. It's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
And then I guess for the Houston, I mean, I guess in theory they could have gone back to the Oilers unless somebody had a
Yeah.
copyright on it or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
I mean, Texas okay.
That's all right. Speaking of the Texans, are going to play the Raiders Monday night in Mexico City. How about that for an interesting game? And the Texans, they've been playing okay. They're 4-3, atop a very weak Southern Division in the, I believe it's the NFC, isn't it? I can't remember if it's the AFC. It's
Wait, which one?
the Houston, I think.
Houston. Well, they're in the AFC.
AFC. Yeah, so they're in the AFC South, but they're in a very weak division. The Raiders should be able to beat them, but it's going to be an interesting game.
Yeah, because now you get Kansas City, Denver, and us, and the Raiders like within
All within the game, and the Raiders have to play at Kansas City and at Denver in the coming weeks, and at San Diego. And those are three very good. Two of those teams are very good, and one of them is not that bad. San Diego
always plays tough.
always plays, and they almost beat the Raiders the last time they played them.
So now, question: if they play in Mexico,
Right.
because soccer is such a big thing down there, do they get to use their hands?
Well, interesting story about. I didn't realize this. I knew Mexico City was above sea level. I didn't realize it was 7,500 feet above sea level.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah. So here's an interesting thing. When teams go to Denver,
Yeah.
they usually fly in on a Saturday because if they go in like 2 or 3 days ahead of time, they don't get acclimated. If they go in a day in advance, it doesn't make that much difference. But if they go in 2 or 3 days in advance, the body doesn't. It takes about a week for the body to acclimate. So if they go in just a day in advance, it doesn't make that much difference.
Is that right?
Yeah,
That's not because they're in the airplane.
No,
because
it's just because their body takes about 24 hours or 48 hours to
Very
adjust.
interesting.
And so what the Raiders are doing, and I think the Texans probably are doing this, is they're wearing high altitude masks this week and breathing thinner air to sort of get themselves used to maybe having to suck up, a little bit more.
Because 7,500 feet, I mean,
That's pretty
one
high.
and a half times what Mile High Stadium would be.
Yeah. That's going to be interesting. They've had a couple games in Mexico, and the fans are gaga over NFL football down there. They love it. I mean, you think that fans like it in London? They had the biggest crowd ever a couple years ago. Over 103,000 fans showed up to a game.
Wow.
And those Mexican fans, they go crazy, and they love the Raiders.
I can imagine.
I mean, this is all.
They call them the Banditos.
Well, what's interesting is the Raiders are the home team for this game. They're playing like 2,500 miles away. Houston's only like 800 miles away, but they're the visiting team. Go figure that one out.
Maybe there's all this. We don't like Texas because it's too much of a border state.
Well, all the old history, the war with the Texas
Alamo.
Republic and the Alamo and all that stuff's probably still got a little, negative residue.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, so one of the things you wanted to talk about was leadership.
Yeah, leadership in sports, and it's a rare quality to find an athlete who not only can do everything that you ask him or her to do on the field of play, but also lead by example and inspire other players. And there are not that many guys that are really good at doing both. I think maybe because it's not an easy job, obviously, and certain players are more vocal. For instance, Draymond Green of the Warriors. You look at his stat numbers, he doesn't score that many points, but he blocks a lot of shots. He hands off the ball for assists. He gets a lot of rebounds.
And he's vocal.
Yeah, he's it's interesting, here in the Bay Area, they talk about him. He may be the fourth best player on his team, but without him, the Warriors have some problems because he's kind of a leader.
And it's interesting how, you see this big vocal on the court, and then a couple times hearing him doing interviews, he was like extremely poised.
Yeah, very poised, very thoughtful, very, very bright, very charming, very likable guy. He's a little immature in some respects. I mean, he got himself into some trouble, nothing serious, but kind of some stupid things. But, you don't want to put any raps on this guy. This guy is an emotional player, is an enthusiastic player, and I think Steve Kerr is right to just sort of let him, athletes are kind of like artists. You got to let them have a little room, especially at the professional level. College level, you got to rein them in a bit because they're just kids. Mm-hmm. Professional level, you have to be, that takes and in basketball, because players are a lot more emotional and vocal, at least to the naked eye, because they're closer to you. They're not wearing hats or helmets, and you can see that.
Well, also, if they have the ball, they're in control of the entire game at that moment.
Yeah.
Baseball, it's really, ground ball to the shortstop. I mean,
or four at bats again. The only guy who really has the control of the game is the starting pitcher, but he's only out there once every 5 days.
Yeah.
So you get a guy like a Draymond Green or a Steph Curry, or a Kobe Bryant, for instance, who had a tremendous amount of poise and influence over the younger players. And you had an interesting thing about something Kobe Bryant used to do.
Yeah, there was something in the I think it was like Yahoo Sports. I thought was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
It said that he would try to mess with his opponent's camaraderie by double teaming the guy who has not gotten a maximum contract.
Interesting.
Okay, and the idea was to get that guy frustrated because he never got the ball, and he was the guy who was like, he knew the only way I'm going to get a max contract is if I get the ball, if I can score. Well, if I'm being double teamed all the time, I'm not going to get the ball. So, he goes into the huddle. This is the theory. He goes into the huddle. He goes, hey, man, give me the ball. Well, hey, you're double teamed. And internally, he's kind of going, maybe it's a psychological thing that he can't really put his mind to at the time, but it's, I'm not going to get my contract. At the time, he's not going to tell the guys right on the court, guys, pass me the ball so I can get a big contract. That's not going to happen.
So what Kobe's trying to do is just mess with this guy's livelihood in a sense. Even though it's just one game, it's players are very, to be good in any sport, you really have to be focused on the here and the now, and not tomorrow's game or last night's game, but this moment is right now.
Because in theory, and again, now each player is different. He said, it doesn't happen all the time, but I understand the theory. If you got a guaranteed contract, it's going to pay you $100 million for a few years. In theory, you see these guys a lot of times,
going through the motions.
Yeah, and it's like, hey, I already got my money, so I don't.
There have been players like that too.
It's like, pass the ball, don't pass the ball. I don't care. I already got my money.
I don't think most of the great ones that get the big contracts can afford to be that way, though, because there's a lot of scrutiny they're under and endorsement possibilities, and it's just a matter of pride. But there are some that just do go through the motions. Kobe was never that way. I have to give Kobe credit. You know, Kobe played until he was, I believe, almost 40, and he wasn't the same player towards the end because he had so many knee problems. But you know, that guy played with such passion, and he did elevate the quality of play among his teammates, very, very much so.
Now, he did kind of ball hog it a little
Oh,
bit.
no question.
But
no question. Well, he had a right to towards the end, but the team was so bad.
Yeah.
I mean, early on they were.
But even when they were good, though.
That's true.
The thing is,
Michael Jordan, same thing.
Yeah, but the guys like that, though, they performed.
You know what's interesting? Speaking of that, Steph Curry doesn't get nearly as many shots, or hasn't been getting nearly as many shots, because Kevin Durant is getting a lot of shots. Yeah. Steph Curry has had no problem with that at all. That's the beauty of a guy like he pushed the egos. He realizes, hey, we got one of the best players in the game on our team. Why should I get all flustered if I'm only getting, 15 shots a game as opposed to 20?
Well, because I think he's also thinking about the big picture. It's like, they won in 15, they lost barely in 16. Yeah. I think he wants that ring back.
Oh yeah, and they're going to get it back. I think. Although the Warriors, to me, they're still a work in progress because of the fact that they don't have that big, physical rim protector like an Andrew Bogut.
Well, but Julia's not bad.
He's okay. He's okay.
He can't shoot the ball.
He doesn't play really good interior defense, but he's a good passer. He's a decent rebounder, but he's not intimidating. Bogut, for all his faults, was an intimidator.
What about West?
West is more of a role player who can come in, and he's not nearly the guy he used to be, but you can get little drips and drabs out of him. I think that was a nice pickup.
And the new guy. McCaw is really good.
McCaw is very good.
But no, who was the big guy?
Looney?
Yeah.
From UCLA? He's a second-year player. Yeah. He's he's had, again, the Warriors are mixing in a lot of young players. Ian Clark is playing more. Yeah. Looney, you mentioned McCaw. Of course, West, Pachulia. They're a much different team than they were a year ago.
Well, the season's still young, so maybe by half of the year is over, they'll really kind of gel together.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right, so we're going to, believe it or not, we got another.
Oh, my goodness, okay.
When we come back, I want to also talk about college players who are mostly football players,
right.
I think it is, who are getting their
degrees early.
Yeah. But they're doing it a certain way.
That's good.
Okay, so who was the only person in NBA history to be named MVP, Coach of the Year, and Executive of the Year?
Whoa.
One guy was named not all at the same time.
No, at the same time.
All right.
Wow.
That's our question. So
Coach of the Year, Executive of the Year,
and MVP. Again, not all at the same.
Okay.
Not in the same year.
Okay.
Different points in his career. All right. Stay with us. Sports Econ 101. We'll be right back.
I think I know the answer to that one.
I think you'll know that one.
Yeah. Jerry West.
Don't tell
Don't
me now.
Say it. Don't say it. Jeez. God almighty. What's the matter with you? So what are you doing this weekend?
Sarah's flying up.
Oh, nice.
Because she's here early for the Thanksgiving.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, my wife and daughter both get all next week off, which is nice.
Yeah.
We're going to go up to visit my brother-in-law up in Humboldt County. He is thrilled that this pot initiative passed because now all the illegal farming will go away, and there'll be a lot of money coming into those poor counties.
Yeah.
They voted overwhelmingly to support it.
Imagine.
78%. But of course, the guys who voted against it were the little pot, growers. See, the thing is, these big companies are moving in, and they're going to sort of take control.
Yeah,
and that's
tax and all that.
Yeah, but it's bad in the sense that it'll put little guys out of business, but it's good in the sense that it'll put tax revenue in the coffers of the city, and it'll help raise the standard of living. So that's a good thing.
So we're scheduled to record on Tuesday.
Oh, great. Okay,
right.
Cool.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Tuesday at 1:30.
Tuesday 1:30. Okay, sounds like a plan.
I assume you don't want to come on Thanksgiving.
No, I won't even be here. I'll be stuffing myself with turkey up at the farm.
All right, here we go. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Edward Brown here, along with Bruce McGowan. Second trivia question. Bruce says he knows the answer to this one. Who was the only person in NBA history to be named MVP, Coach of the Year, and Executive of the Year? Bruce?
Had to be Jerry West.
It is not Jerry West.
Bill Russell?
No. And okay, so Jerry West was MVP.
He was a great coach.
Executive of the Year.
But he didn't win Coach of the Year.
I don't think so. I think that's the one he didn't win.
Yeah, that's true. Though I don't think he won a championship as a Coach of the Year. So who would it be? It wouldn't be Steve Kerr because he wasn't the Player of the Year.
No.
Front office. He worked in the front office. He was a head coach and he was a great player. I'm stumped.
This guy used to be a very good 3-point shooter.
very good three-point shooter. Little guy?
No, not really.
Guard? He's a guard, huh? African American or Caucasian?
No, he's a Caucasian. They say, some people, black is the ace of spades.
Right.
He's white as the ace of diamonds.
What what era did he play in as a player?
In the 70s, mostly the 80s.
Larry Bird.
Larry Bird.
There you go.
There you
Yeah,
go.
there we go. Larry Bird.
Yeah, he ain't black. That's
No.
for sure. Okay, so going here to college football. Best players are still bolting early for the NFL,
Yeah.
but now they're taking their diplomas with them.
Now Jared Goff didn't do that, did he?
I think he played the whole 4 years, didn't he?
I thought he left.
Did he leave early?
Yeah, he left
Okay,
here early.
okay.
And I understand why players leave early because if they get hurt in college, all that money goes away.
That's exactly what I think.
Yeah,
Even
yeah.
though I'm a big person on education.
But you can always get your degree,
Yeah.
You can always finish it up.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, it's not the same as taking it online or doing it in your off season, but unfortunately, pro sports you've got a short window, and if you get hurt, all that money down the drain. Your family suffers, you suffer.
And if you have even just a short career,
3 years,
3,
say.
4 years, I mean, you're still 25, 28.
Yeah.
You're under 30.
And hopefully you've saved a couple $1 million.
Yeah,
It's
and then go
interesting.
back to school. I mean, it is harder to go back to school, but
It is. But then again, sometimes it's easier to study when you're in your late 20s. You have more patience.
that's a good point.
A lot of people say you shouldn't be going to college when you're in your 20s or late teens because you don't have the patience.
Huh.
I wish sometimes some of the classes I remember taking when I was in college, I wish I was taking them now because I think I would have really appreciated it more.
Oh, yeah, like for me, like art history type. Thing,
Yeah, or
exactly.
anthropology, or 18th century British literature. I mean,
No, that's true.
Yeah.
I'm kind of the same way. I took
Yeah.
a dynamics and Western culture class in college and did not appreciate it.
I remember I took a geography class. I love geography, but at the time the teacher was lousy and I wasn't inspired, and I showed up half the time and got a C.
Exactly.
My parents were mortified. How could you get a C in geography? You know geography like anybody.
Yeah.
Because the lousy teacher and I didn't show up. Of course, I
That
didn't tell them that.
combination, Yeah.
I didn't tell them that. Oh, Mom, I didn't show up for that class. Oh, boy, we're paying for your college education and you're not showing up. Oh.
That doesn't work out.
Does not work out, no.
So so the idea here is to get your college degree in 3 years. So I guess in theory they
Pack in a lot of courses, or maybe you go to summer school.
Yeah, and that's what I did for
Yeah.
my graduate work.
Where'd you go to college?
Golden Gate University.
Oh, okay.
So I got both my bachelor's and master's. So I was able to do a master's in a year and a half.
Wow.
Because I went full time. Year round. Full year round.
It usually takes a couple years to get a master's, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, depending on the topic, but I mean.
And some of my classes got carried over.
Oh,
Which
okay.
helped also.
Yeah.
But it's funny. I remember people. The theory is, you hear them saying, "Oh, I'm 40 years old. I can't go back to college now."
Why?
Yeah, that's right. Because you say, well, in 4 years, how old are you going to be if you don't go to college?
Well, maybe the rationale is I've got a family and I can't be away from them, or I have a full-time job and I can't cut into the time for that. But if you really want to get the degree, you can find a way.
That's true. I mean,
You can.
You could do that even before the online courses.
Yeah.
When we were in college, there was no online.
Getting a degree though online, I understand that it has value, but I think there's nothing like being in the classroom experience, sharing it with other students, having a professor there. I mean, to me, that's what it's all about.
And also the interaction back and forth.
Yeah.
Learning from other people, learning from the professor. If you have a question, boom, you ask right there.
Well, it's like having a conversation as opposed to texting somebody on your cell phone.
Yeah.
I mean, I think not to get off on a tangent about this, but I think a lot of young people today, they're so isolated. I see them standing in groups and not looking at each other, just texting or tweeting.
Yeah, but that's what emojis are for.
Yeah.
The smiley faces.
Smiley faces, yeah.
How did you mean that text? Well, didn't you see the emoji at the end?
And the sad thing about text, though, or tweets, is sometimes they're misinterpreted.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's why you got to use those emojis.
Yeah, you got to use those emojis, yeah. Emojis or emojis?
I thought there
Emojis.
I thought there's an E.
M-O-J-I. Emoji.
I thought it was E-M-O-J-I.
Oh, I think it's, well, hey, look,
Take out your phone and Google it.
Okay, I will. While we're talking, I will. That's a great thing about having a phone right in my pocket here. Emoji or emoji? Okay.
Emoji or emoji.
Okay. So what do you think of these guys getting their degrees early?
I like it. In
Mm-hmm.
fact, my daughter is thinking about, they call it a 4+1, where you get your bachelor's and master's in 5 years.
Okay.
Which is almost along the same lines. Here you're going to get your bachelor's in 3 years. If they want to leave early. And I think for the same reason that, if you get hurt, you're done.
Yeah.
And it's easy to get hurt in college, just like it is
Oh,
in pros.
especially in football. The other sports not so much, but in football, you get a knee injury or a calf injury, or not calf injury, but say what do you call it, Achilles?
Yeah, oh yeah. Well, here's the other thing is, and this is no slight to football players, but because of the fact that if they go to a decent school like a Cal or Stanford or something, there's so much time that's needed in classroom to study, but yet there's so much time that's needed for practice.
I know.
That
it's like a full-time job.
It's almost like two full-time jobs.
It is.
So a lot of times you have situations where what they get their degree in, communications. Something that's not to put it down, but it's not like studying astrophysics, right? Because you don't have enough time to study astrophysics. So
that's true.
Whether somebody has a 4-year degree or not in communications, kind of isn't really such a big deal, right?
No.
It's not like they have their degree in economics or accounting or something. Now, again, if somebody has got 3 years of their finance degree and then they leave early, then you go, okay, well, you really got to just go back and get that 4th year and really make something of yourself after football. But I like the idea of going through 3 years.
Well, if you make it work, I remember years ago I dated a woman who played college basketball. She was a scholarship athlete at Stanford just before they became a great team, and she was from a little town in Ohio, and really nice gal. And she was telling me what her schedule was like, and I was amazed. She was able to carve out 2 hours to go out on a date with me because this woman had practice and games, and she was taking a full load and
had to eat,
and she was working. She had a part-time job on top of everything else. So I just.
Well, I used to teach at the University of Phoenix, which are kind of extended classes,
right?
And the thing I kind of liked about it was they gave me the curriculum, so I didn't have to reinvent the wheel.
Oh, nice!
Which was kind of cool.
Yeah.
But people would get a full class in 5 weeks.
Wow.
3 hour, 5 weeks. And I remember one time just photocopying the homework took a couple of hours.
Yeah.
It almost took a whole class during the time that I had to get there early just to they must have had 20 hours worth of homework.
Wow.
But they got that class done in 5 weeks.
I sometimes wonder about the value of homework. My daughter brings home homework and she sits there and pores over it, and she's very good about it. But I'm wondering, there's 2 schools of thought about homework. If you're getting such a good education, you should be getting it mostly in the classroom. The homework thing, it's almost like, I don't know. I'm not saying I'm against it.
To reinstate, I just reaffirm it.
Yeah. I was never good with homework. I was good in college with it because I was taking courses I liked, but in high school I just never really was very good at doing. I did my homework, but I just had no enthusiasm. Well, I didn't feel like I learned anything from it. It was maybe like you were saying, it was just reaffirming what I was supposed to.
Well, you mentioned about how people at 19 shouldn't go to college.
Well, no, some of them should. Some of them should. They really should.
But they also say how, like for teenagers, why do they start school at 7:30 or 8
a.m.?
Teenagers are always sleeping.
You know why they do that though? Because they get them out by 3, so the teachers can do their work until 5. Because if you had them starting at 9 in the morning, the teachers would have to be there till 6 or 7 at night. The teachers union would not like that. Teachers union, I don't know how it is in other states, but in California it is strong. If you're in a teachers union, you're in good shape.
They bust the unions.
They cannot fire you. Oh, well, they can, but you have to really screw up to get fired.
And even then, they just try to protect their own.
Well, yeah. And that's a good thing, I guess. My wife, she's in a teachers union, and she's kind of hot and cold about it. She likes the benefits, she likes the money, but she doesn't like some of the things that they have to do. And I said, well, it's like
they have to contribute to it.
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm not sure. I was in a union when I was working at KGO. It was the AFTRA, American Federation of Radio and Television Artists, and we had to give them, depending on how much money you made each month, a small percentage of that in quarterly dues.
Yeah.
And it's funny now that I'm no longer working at KGO, they're still sending me bills saying based on what I made last year. And I finally called them up and I said, hey, didn't you know that I'm no longer working there? Oh, well, would you like to pay? You could still be a member. And I said, no, thank you.
What would be your benefit?
There is no benefit. There is no benefit.
Just to say that you can do it.
Well, the thing is, if I got another job with another station that was an after station, I would rejoin. It doesn't cost anything to rejoin. I'm not going to pay money for something that's not going to do me any good. That's ridiculous.
Well, okay. So
I understand their point of view. They'd love to have that money, but no, I'm not going to do it.
Well, what about those music companies where they don't want you ripping off other people, artists
and
stuff, right?
Right.
So it gets to the point where it was kind of getting ridiculous because over at this one campground, they basically had said, well, if you're playing any music, then you have to belong to us, but you also have to belong to the other
If
major
you're
one.
playing any music, you mean like
Music that's copyrighted.
in other words, if you're playing it on the camp.
That or the restaurant or whatever
Really?
you're doing. Oh, it's ridiculous. Yeah, and the thing is,
What if you play a radio station?
no, that's even worse. Yeah, I mean, so
Really?
if you have a band come in, they have to play all their own original stuff. Otherwise, you have to pay this fee. But the thing is, you don't just pay this one fee to this one company because that one company only has about half the songs.
Oh.
The other company has basically it's like 47.5% is one
Wow.
company, 47.5% is the other company, and 5% is this other company.
I didn't
right?
realize that.
And so the problem is that, so you say, well, I'll just play the songs of the other company, and they make you pay for each company.
How do they know? They have people out there monitoring? Or?
Potentially.
I mean, I go to my local hardware store, and they have this funny sound system where they play all these old songs from the 70s.
Yeah.
And I asked one time, I said, where do you get this stuff? Oh, there's this company that gives us this service, and we just play all their music all the
Like
time.
Pandora?
Yeah, I'm not sure what it is, but they just it's a loop of songs, and at the end of the day, it's a 12-hour loop, and it just repeats itself.
Gotcha. Well,
Yeah.
12 hours is good. That's
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah.
But I asked them, I said, so if you get a bunch of campfire girls playing, Kumbaya.
Well, I mean, people singing around a campfire, that's subject to this?
Basically.
Oh, that's
they
ridiculous.
want, yeah.
That's
And I said,
ridiculous.
okay, let's push it one depth further. I'm singing in my shower. God bless America. And it's basically, well, is there anybody paying to listen to you
Yeah,
sing?
yeah.
That's
I'm
what
singing
comes down
Yankee
to.
Doodle Dandy. Is Irving Cohen out there wondering where's my money?
Yeah, well,
Or Leonard Cohen or whatever wrote that song.
George M. Cohen.
George N. Cohen, yeah.
So some songs are copyrighted, some are public domain.
I'm a Yankee Doodle Dandy. You remember James Cagney?
Yeah, I do. That was a very good movie.
Yes, it was. It
Oh,
was.
Dirty Rat.
You dirty rat.
I'll get you.
I'll get you. Top of the world, Ma! I made it to the top of the world! That was Public Enemy #1. Public Enemy.
I know.
That's where he took the half-eaten grapefruit and smushed it in his girlfriend's face.
Oh, yes.
That was classic.
See, when I used to, as a kid, I used to go, you dirty rat. And I said, that was Frank Gorshin.
Oh.
And my dad said, no, it's James Cagney. It was Frank Gorshin.
Doing it, yeah. I actually got to interview James Cagney very late in life. Really nice man.
Really?
Sweetheart of a guy, yeah.
Just don't get him behind a machine gun.
No, don't get him behind a machine gun. Edward G. Robinson, another one.
Yeah,
of those guys.
another one, yeah. Okay, here's our last trivia question. What boxer holds the record for youngest professional debut?
Whoa. I
You
like
have,
that.
you have to go back in a little bit of time.
Okay.
Not to the 1300s, but
Okay.
you got to go back in a little bit of time.
1400s.
Close.
Okay.
Okay. Don't touch that dial. Sports Econ 101. We'll be right back with some closing comments.
I have no clue on that one. Is it an obvious name?
No.
Okay, well, yeah, there you go. Thought you'd stump me, and you did. Stump McGowan.
Stop.
That's so funny. I remember I was on one of these shows at KNBR once. They needed me to help co-host, and the regular host knew that I was really into trivia. So he said, he was just desperate for calls. It was like a Friday night late. So he goes, "We're going to play Stump McGowan."
Oh.
And nobody was able to stump me.
Wow.
No, I mean, I think one person might have, but they didn't ask any tough questions.
Really?
Well, it was all, they had to be Bay Area related, though. So
Okay.
naturally, I got that. Did you see the Chronicle today, by the way, the article that Scott Osler wrote? He talked about this horrible tragedy at the big game that happened 116 years ago where 40 men and boys fell off of this. They were watching this on a platform, watching the big game over at Rec Field in the Mission, and they fell off this. There was this big viewing area that was part of this building right across the street. And they fell off it into a molten vat of glass.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Yeah, like 40 of them died. They were burned, incinerated. They were like trying to climb out of the glass, and the glass is swirling around.
Oh, what a painful way to.
Yeah.
Why are they above that? I mean,
I don't know. Yeah.
jeez.
I don't know why it was a front page article too. And Scott Osler's thing was,
Yeah.
well, those of you that are up at Tightwad Hill this weekend, just be aware of that. Tightwad Hill, that little hill right above Memorial Stadium where people gather and they look down and watch the game. You ever seen that?
No.
Have you ever been to a game at Berkeley?
No.
Oh, you should go sometime. I'm going to miss my
I was
first.
gonna say, is the big game happening?
It's in Berkeley this week.
Okay, that's why you brought it up. Is because
Well, that's why. I'm missing my first big game since 1981. I just have no interest.
yeah,
No interest, and plus they won't give me parking, so I'd have to drive to San Francisco, park in the. I still have my KGO parking lot pass, which they didn't take away, and take Bart over there. What for? To see a crappy game? No, I'm not going to do it. I'd rather hang out with Molly and Clyde.
watch the game on TV if you want.
I'd take them to the beach or something.
There you go.
Yeah. All right.
The finer things in life.
The finer things in life.
There. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Last time for today, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Bruce McGowan. Here is our last trivia question. What boxer holds the record for youngest professional debut?
Haven't a clue.
Okay. The year was 1927. The guy, it says here the guy's age is 13.
What?
And then I read somewhere he was 10, but I can't believe that.
No.
13 years old.
13?
I don't think he was a heavyweight.
Alberto
Baby Arizmendi.
I wonder how long he boxed.
I don't know. A number of years.
Should Google him and find out.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Well, have you ever gone on Google and just typed in some obscure person that you barely? You'd be surprised how many names pop up that things that you never feel would be on there.
Well, I like to go to the old Wikipedia.
Who adds to that stuff anyway? There's so much.
I don't know. I mean, whether it's true or not, sometimes I just think it's
It's
interesting.
fun. It is
A lot
fun.
of times, especially like for historical, let's say, Richard III,
Yeah.
right? And then you see who his dad was.
Right.
You Google that, or you click on that, and it just so you keep going back 25, 30.
Oh, I know.
And so you go back to William the Conqueror,
Yeah.
66.
Yeah.
And then you even go back Ethelred and all these
I know.
crazy people.
It is nuts. It's like opening up a Pandora's box.
It is.
Yeah.
But it's fun. Okay, here's our thoughts for the day. Adversity causes some men to break, others to break records.
I'm one of the latter.
Good.
I break records.
Good, there you go. I like that.
Yeah.
I used to break all the 45s and 78s in our home.
Oh, there you go. There you
Okay.
go. I did that once in a while.
Yeah.
I remember I had a 45 that I hated, and so I just took a knife and scratched it.
I did that too.
Yeah.
And then I tried to play it.
And I tried to play it. It was like,
ruined the needle.
it ruined the deal. It was like,
And for you younger players, that's an old phonograph. That's it.
Yeah.
And gold medals aren't really made of gold.
no?
They're made of sweat, determination,
Oh.
and hard to find alloy called guts.
Guts!
Guts, baby! I like
Guts,
that.
baby.
All right, tune in next week to Sports Econ 101.
I've got guts.
There you go. We're going to be discussing sports topics from a business perspective and asking more sports trivia questions. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm your host, Edward Brown. We'll see you next week.
Good night, America.
So long.
Was it Vernon who starred that Good Night America?
Yeah.
Vernon's such a character. I love Vernon. He's always
I know.
in such a good mood.
And I haven't talked to him for a while.